Hello, and welcome back to the Richard Talaferro podcast. Without friction, there is no growth. But is the push for optimization wringing the friction and the life out of life itself? A growth equation newsletter written by Steve Magnus left me inspired to talk about this. His thesis is that the rise of analytics has led to a barbell effect of either home runs or strikeouts, three-pointers or layups. Where is the contact hitter or the mid-range sharpshooter? It sort of mirrors our society writ large, which has become very polarized and binary. Does the rise of analytics and optimization lead to mediocrity? Looking at Magnus's examples, I would say sadly yes. In our chase for optimization, we seem to be squeezing out the chances for joy, messiness, and even serendipity. They may be squishy concepts, but take a look at your career and take a look at your life. Did your career or your relationship turn on a chance meeting or a chance encounter? Certainty doesn't live at the address of joy, messiness, and serendipity. Innovation does. It always has. Now, if I remember the story correctly, an engineer was sitting on the beach one day, bored in the sun. Finding a stick, he started drawing lines in the sand, and thus that became the impetus for the ubiquitous barcode. We want to live in certainty because it's the safest place to be, in sports, in movies, and in hiring. Yet, we all know in sports, in movies, and in hiring, the greatest work and the greatest hires come from dialing up just a little bit more courage than the other coach, the other director, or the other hiring manager. What talented people are we leaving behind if our desire for optimization is paramount? What innovations are we leaving behind if we don't allow our teams to wrestle with the messy middle? Maybe our desire for optimization is a quest for perfection, even though, as we all know, perfection is a sucker's game. It's a search for certainty in an uncertain field or uncertain world. Though, we all know that the world has always been uncertain, right? The aim, I think, should be seeking excellence, not perfection, regardless of the messiness, and building resilience in our organizations and in ourselves to properly handle the messiness and the friction. So, here's my question for you. What are you doing to be comfortable in the messy, uncertain, magical middle? Done is better than perfect, and I'm retraining my muscles to remember that. In a previous long chapter of my work life at the Wall Street Journal, perfection was, and still is, the coin of the realm. It has to be because the stakes are pretty high. That high standard permeates what I do, how I write, and how I podcast. Sentences, tenses, structure, all of it has to be on point. If it's not, let the cringing begin. Occasionally, I'll go back to a post or a podcast episode and notice that a word's missing or a verb tense is off. The editor in me is cringing. How did I let that get into the world? Yet, the coach in me says, it's out in the world now. Just go in and fix it. The balance I am inhabiting now is tricky. Do I need to have high standards? Yes, no question about it. And that quest for perfection can lead to procrastination and overthinking. Wanting this podcast episode, for example, to be so good and error-free that it never sees the light of day. In other words, done is better than perfect. The question is, how do I maintain the balance of high standards and grace for myself? I can do that by remembering that I can have both at the same time. They aren't mutually exclusive. This way, I model something special for my coaching clients. The ability to know where they stand and the grace to know that things will be fine. I think there's a tendency to use perfectionism as a form of procrastination. If I can't be my best, if I can't display my best, then what's the point? So let's reframe this. The window for perfection is small. Now, knowing this, can you bring your best self, warts and all, to the project, the program, the task at hand? Yes, you can. And we can build confidence in your ability to be present for what you seek to accomplish. With all that said, there may be a mistake lurking somewhere in this episode. I'm sure I'll find it soon. It'll be done, and done is still better than perfect. So, my question for you is, how have you overcome perfectionism? If you're searching for work that works for you, I invite you to go to richardtaliaferro.com and schedule a complimentary call with me, and let's talk about it. Thanks for listening, and talk to you next week.